Welcome to the second episode of my Your First Let's Play series. In the last episode we looked at what are the criteria that you probably want to have for your first game. In this episode we'll take a look at what you probably want to have. Let's get this out of the way. None of this is expensive. Most of it is actually completely free. The only thing that might cost money is a microphone. And believe me, that microphone does not have to be of any good quality. It can be of horrible quality, and I can kind of help you make it slightly less horrible quality. My first mic, for instance, sounded like this. But I can help you turn that into this. I mean, it still isn't great, but it gets the job done perfectly fine. So that's the first thing out of the way. Just any mic. The quality literally does not matter. I mean, for one, it's your first Let's Play. You probably don't need it to be of any good quality. And as I showed you, I can very easily make that horrible quality into slightly less horrible quality. The other thing that you are definitely going to need is something to record with. I personally advise Shadowplay because that's the thing I've been using from the start, and well, I won't say I have no problems with it, but they are practically non-existent and are probably not unique to Shadowplay in any way. Shadowplay is part of the program GeForce Experience, which if you have an Nvidia card you probably already have, because it's also probably the program you use to update your driver. I'm fairly sure that it is Nvidia video cards only. I don't know this for sure, and if you don't have an Nvidia card, there are tons of other completely free recording programs out there. I'm just not all that familiar with them. This is my GeForce Experience when I open it. You can just see the games and you can tweak some settings from here, but the thing we'll take a look at is the Shadowplay button, which, well, it doesn't have a name to it, but it's the triangle with the very dotty points. When you open it you get to this screen, where you will see three big buttons, which, well, mine are in Dutch because for some reason this program had to install itself in Dutch. The first is Instant Replay. Its main function is if you do something epic in a game, you can just quickly press the button and it will record the last around 10 seconds. I guess it's a cool function for some stuff, but well, it's not really what we're after. The thing we're after is the middle one, record. The third one is for streaming, but well, for that I highly advise you use another program because it's not exactly a great way to stream. In recording you have two options. You can either start recording, after which it will also say what your hotkey for recording is. I highly advise that you kind of learn that one. And what is probably going to be called something like edit settings or something. When you click on edit settings you'll get to this. These are the settings I use. Resolution, that is currently the highest that YouTube will really do, with a 60 frames per second frame rate. And the highest bit speed, and I have actually no real idea what bit speed is, so yeah. So maybe people who know a lot more than me can tell you in the comments what you should really do with this, but this is what I use and what just works perfectly for me. Then you also have three smaller buttons below your gallery. The one most to the left is how you want to record your microphone. Either push to talk, always on, or off. I personally use push to talk. I'll talk about that in another video because, well, it's kind of complicated. If you just want to do basic videos, just the most normal way, and how I've also been doing it for a very long time, is just always on. The middle button is your webcam. I don't have a webcam, so this doesn't really show anything for me. Maybe you do, and well, I guess you'll have to figure it out, but it's a very simple program, so you'll figure it out, don't worry about it. The one most to the right are your settings. There's not a lot of settings you really need to tamper with, but some stuff might be somewhat useful. One thing you probably want to take a look at is your HUD layout. The main thing you probably want to have on is your status indicator, and you can just choose in what corner of the screen you want it. I have mine in the bottom right, and this shows you if you are recording and will also show up when something changes in it. For instance, when your memory is full and your recording suddenly stops. The other thing that I use, and that is probably not needed but I do like having it, is your FPS counter. This one I have in my top left and does just that. It shows you how many frames per second it is currently recording. You also have the possibility for looking at how many viewers you have at the moment, but that is only for streaming, and like I said, this is not really the service I would advise you use for streaming. The other thing I would advise you to take a look at are the shortcuts. They mostly explain themselves, but it's probably good to know, well, to at least make your recording shortcuts something you can remember. I still use the one that is the basic one, but well, that does have some problems, as that is Alt F9, and well, there are a lot of games that do something when you press the Alt button, so yeah, that might show up sometimes when you are recording, so maybe change that if you enjoy that. The last thing to take a look at is probably just the recordings, which just gives you access to where everything will be saved to, where the temporary files will be stored, and where the finished files will be stored. That way you know where to look for, well, just your files. It's very annoying when you make a 1 hour video and then can't find your file. And that pretty much concludes the very quick and very basic, well, I want to say very basic guide to Shadowplay, but well, Shadowplay is very basic, which is kind of exactly why I like it. Another thing you will definitely want, it's not technically a necessity, but it's as close to a necessity as you can get, is a video editing program. Because even if you want to make, well, pretty much uncut videos, like I do, you will want to cut out the beginning of a video, the very end of a video, in which you basically click the shortcut of closing it down. That way you don't have a short 2-second gap after you said goodbye. And should something strange happen, like somebody shouts at you and suddenly your real name gets revealed, which you definitely don't want, or you suddenly really need to go to the toilet, so you quickly pause the game and run off to the toilet, those are kind of things you want to be able to cut out. Sadly for you, well, you won't really have the possibility of using the same program that I've been using for a long time. I used Windows Movie Maker, which is a very, very, very simple video editing program, but it did the job just fine for a very long time, and well, it has been discontinued, meaning you'll have to either find another very simple program or use the same one that I'm going to advise to you, which is HitFilm Express. This is a very powerful tool which can do amazing things, I'm fairly sure, but I just use the most basic of functions. And for that, it's perfect. It can be somewhat heavy on your computer, so if you are working on an absolute potato, you might want to make sure not too many other programs are running, and really maybe, probably not, but really maybe this won't be a program you can use. But it's completely free for people who want to know how they make their money, because that makes them trusted more, like me. They basically sell additions to it. They sell effects and, I don't know, precepts maybe? I don't really know. But they sell additions to it, but just the base thing, it works perfectly fine. It basically is a good free-to-play model. So this is the screen you get to when you open up in Film Express. So you can either open up one of the projects you were already working on, or what I like to have are a couple base files. One for my Dust and one for Bioshock, which just have the intro and my ad warning already loaded in. But we are just going to do a new one. When you click on a new one, you will get to this screen. These are the way I use it, and well, I have no idea what this means, and these are just all the settings that I use, and they work perfectly fine for me. I have no idea what they all mean, but they always work. The width and height just means, well, what size the video will be, and the frame rate. You probably want to go with this 95.94 and not the full 60, because, well, for some reason, at least for me, it doesn't quite sync up. You can try it out with a very short video, but yeah, if you try 60 and you find out that for some reason sound and visuals start to desync, then I highly advise you to try this one. When you have set it up in a way that works, you go for Start Editing. Composing is very different, and well, if you use editing, you can still make composite shots, is what they're called. And you can use them for a lot, but really, if you just want to make a normal video, then Start Editing is the tool you want to use. Then you get to a screen that looks something like this. This looks very complicated. It's way less complicated than it looks. So this is your viewer. This is where you basically get to see what you are seeing right here. This is where you will load in all of your videos and audio files and maybe pictures and everything. This is how loud the audio is, and well, here we have a lot of different files, a lot of different options to work with. The first one is just media. You can use this one to load something in. For instance, let me load in, let's say, my Octave Anthem Part 3. Now I have this one in my media, and I want to start with that. So I just slide it in, and congratulations, you have it in there. And let's say I want to cut out the intro. Very nice and all. But, well, now we are slightly too far. You can also zoom in, either by sliding this, or just the control scroll, which is, for me, generally the way I like to do it. But I want to start the video the second the intro is over. With these two buttons you can move single frames, which is definitely very useful if you want to be very precise. So we simply go back like this, and yes, the audio, you will get the audio, and You might think that this is very annoying, and it kind of is, but it definitely can be very useful to have. So I want to cut out this part. There are a couple of ways to do it, but the way I want to do it right now is just I pick it up right here and I short it in. And I move this part exactly to here because it will immediately click to that, meaning that I can be very precise with this. But now we still have this part of the intro music. So I want to cut that part out as well. But, well, I kind of can't because these two are linked. If I make this one shorter, if I try to make the audio shorter, I will also make the visual shorter. So instead what I'll do is I'll click with the right mouse button and I unlink them. So now I can select just this one. And let's say that I only want a video of, I don't know, I only want this part. But we unlinked it. So now the visual is shorter, but after that, and you are going to help me. I have no longer any visual, but I still have the audio. So what I can then do is I can drag this one back and it will also click to this. It can click to both this line and any beginning or end of a shot. So now we have a shorter video. But let's say that I'm not really happy with the middle of it. And I want to cut out a part of the middle. Then I'll simply use the slide tool and I click here, make a cut. And also this cutting tool will also stick to these points. So I cut it right there. And I'll do the same right over here. And now I use the select tool again, select it, and I can either click on it and delete it, or I can just click on it and press delete. But now we have a large gap in the video. So I just select this, I select both, and I can move them together. And this will also just click. But let's say that I want to make the audio slightly lower because it's too loud for my taste. Then I'll simply drag this bar down a bit. This one is really sensitive. So we now have a slightly lower audio. But maybe I'm not very happy with this very harsh cut right here. So let's say I want to have a nice transition here. I'm personally a big fan of the dissolve effect. So you just go to effects and then transition video. For me then dissolve. And now we'll have a nice So this might look, well, this does look quite crap. Do not worry about this, because while it definitely might look crap right here, that's because in this instance it has to load in 2 videos at a time. It's just kind of hard on your system. But it's in no way a challenge to, once it starts rendering, once it's rendered, then it will just look fine. And then I can do the same with the audio. And if you have one of these selected, one of the effects, then you have the controls over it. But both of these don't have any controls. One that does is the fade to color. So let's say I want to start out this video with a very slow fade to color. Then I can simply place the fade to color, drag it out quite a bit, and then say, no, I don't want you to fade to color from black, I want a yellow fade to color. There are a ton of more controls, but they are always very self-explanatory. But let's say I want to put a piece of music under it. For instance, for me, I want to have my own little theme song at the very start. Then I'll simply pick this one up. And I can either drag it over here, but here it will overlap with this very small part of the audio that I want. So I drag it under it, and while I don't really know what the master thing does, I think that's the maximum audio that it will have itself. So audio you drag under the master file and it will come in a new audio bar. And you can also delete tracks if you accidentally make too many. So now I have my own little theme in front of the video. And also this one I would want to have a slow fade at the end. And I want it to be slightly less loud. So now we have our beginning of the video. And we have a cut in the middle, and it's significantly shorter. But let's say there is something in the top right corner that I don't want to be there. Well then, we simply go to import, and well, this is one that I always have because I find it very useful to have. It's just a completely black screen. So let's say that at this point I want to have the top right corner covered. Well, as you can see that I definitely do have my top right corner covered. I also have slightly more colored. And I do not seem to have any control over it right now. So we sort out by zooming out a bit. Just the same zooming controls that you have pretty much everywhere. And we can see that while this is our screen, this black screen is a whole lot bigger. So I can simply pick up this corner, and there you go. With Shift you can keep it the same shape, which is very useful for videos. Because, well, if you do this to a video, then it will be very messed up. And with Control you can keep the opposite corner that you have grabbed and keep it in the same place. So now I have the top right corner covered. And then let's say I want it to cover the top right corner for this long. And that's pretty much the basics of how you can edit your own videos. In the next episode I'll cover some more complex tools, but this is the basics that really you should be able to figure out the most basic stuff you want to know. So this was basically my quick crash course on HitFilm Express. So I'm a complete twat who completely forgot to show the exporting the rendering part of it. So you have two options in this. You either export the in and out area, which is, well, you can manipulate it with these two buttons. If I now click this, only the light grey area will be exported. Or you just export content, which is the entire thing. Which is, well, you export it from where the first part starts to where the last thing ends. You get this screen asking you if you want to go to the exporting or if you want to continue editing. If you click this, you probably just want to go to exporting. Then here you have your presets. If you want to, well, use what I use, then I personally use these settings. You can also create one. And, well, here are a lot of options where I have no idea what most of them mean. This is what I have used for every one of my videos, which works perfectly fine, so yeah, your choice really what to do. And, well, then you select the preset that you want to use. And if you click on this one, you can change the name. And when you're all happy with it, you just click Start Exporting. And this can take some time. I highly advise that you do this while you are either away or really doing something else, because, well, as you can see, this only a couple minute video will be taking a lot more minutes. And, well, this was a somewhat complicated video for it because there are a lot of edits and things in it, but it's a very short video, which means that it will also have a very short render time. Videos of maybe half an hour or an hour, those will take significantly longer. For some reason, the longer the video, the longer the rendering time, but it's not, if it's twice as long, it will take twice as much time. For some reason, the longer it is, the even longer it will take to render. It can maybe even take 3 times as long than if the video is only twice as long. Our little video finished exporting. So now we can just click here and it will take us to the folder it's in. Yeah, I have 2 monitors, which means that sometimes things get opened on another screen. And as you can see, it starts immediately with our transition from yellow, with my little theme music, and we have our nice black box over here. And then here we have our nice transition. So yeah, that's basically how HitFilm Express works. Next week I'll cover some more interesting, more complex things you can use, but this is pretty much all you need to know. So, go out there, get it, it's free after all, and start making some fun videos, I guess. The last program I'm going to recommend is probably the most professional program. As in, if you know what to listen for, you can hear that a lot of actual professionals use it. Audacity. This is a program that is used to basically record. And it's just for audio. But it's a very powerful tool and used by a lot of big people. For instance, the Gymquisition and Dice Funk, two pretty big podcasts, especially the Gymquisition, are edited with Audacity. And while you might think that, well, why would I need Audacity if I just want to do a Let's Play? There are a lot of reasons for having it. For one, if you want to do a video in which you just maybe talk over some gameplay, just, I don't know, maybe an update kind of video, or maybe if you see that, oh, there is something wrong with this video, or it ended abruptly, and you want to give a quick heads up about that, then it might be easier to just record yourself with Audacity instead of having to also record the video at the same time. It's also completely necessary if you want to remove the buzzing, because, well, that's done also with Audacity. But that's something that I'll cover in the next video. Because, like I said, it's very simple, but it's more fitting for that video than it's for this video, in which I just give a real quick heads up of what programs I advise you use and the most basic stuff on how to use them. And like all the other programs that I've recommended, it's completely free. This is Audacity. While it might look very imposing, really, most stuff will pretty much sort itself out. There are a lot of buttons over here that, well, for the most part, I have no actual idea what they do. And, well, most of them you really don't need. Really, for this tutorial, I'll just show you how you record, how you play it back, and how you can edit it. And if this part of the video doesn't sound as good or as well edited as the other parts, yeah, that's very well possible, as this is... Well, normally I record all my audio with Audacity, but I can't at the same time record with Audacity and show me working on Audacity. That's just... Well, it doesn't like to be worked on and recording at the same time, because, well, no program and likes that. So, to start recording, you basically push the very big record button. And ta-da! Now we are recording. It's very basic, but it does the job perfectly well. I mean, yeah, I really have no idea what I'm saying at the moment, I'm sorry. This is kind of a one-take kind of thingy, and, well, for some reason, for somebody who does Let's Plays, I'm very bad at those. To stop recording, you press the stop button. Not the record button again, just the stop button. And then you have this button, and which just plays it. And this might be way too loud, so I'm sorry about that. And ta-da! Now we are recording. I also can't get rid of that buzz that you are probably hearing right now, because, well, if I get rid of that, I also get rid of this buzz. So, yeah, and then the example doesn't really work. Sorry about that. But if we have this tool selected, we can basically select any place. So if we want to play it from there, it does the job perfectly well. We can do that. We can also drag it, and then we can select a part. So we can select this. It does the job perfectly well. And then it ends. But let's say I don't think that it does the job perfectly well. Then I can just click on delete, and it's gone. So let's say that I don't think that this gap should be this long. And believe me, this is something that I do a lot. I always cut out huge blank parts because, well, my mind just stops an awful lot. Not during Let's Plays, of course, because you kind of can't do that during Let's Plays, but for videos like this, for tutorial or talking videos, yeah, this is probably something you'll want to do a lot, because otherwise you have a lot of moments like this. You know, when you're just trying to think of what you want to say, and it just leaves very awkward silences, which just makes for bad videos. yeah, that's why you want to be able to just cut them out. And this seems a bit long, as does this. And now we have a much better flowing video. While recording. It's very basic, but I mean, yeah, I really have no idea what I'm saying at the moment, I'm sorry. This is kind of a... So, yeah, it does the job perfectly well. Which is the part I actually removed, because, well, random. I don't know, sorry, this video is recorded way later, so this part is kind of crap, sorry. So, when we go into this, well, we have two options. We can either save the project, which saves it as a project, which is this thing in Audacity. The thing you probably want to do way more, and the thing I do an awful lot. I mean, I rarely save the project because, well, the product isn't really useful. What you want is to export it. And then, well, this is a nice little view in how I work on stuff. So, first let's play what you need, and let's call it then example. Then we get this one where you can add the artist and all types of stuff, but well, you don't have to. And then, well, if you have an half-hour video, then it might take a couple seconds maybe, but right now it's instantly done. So, my file working on, and ta-da, now we are recording. It's very basic, but I mean, yeah, I really have no idea what I'm saying at the moment, I'm sorry. This is kind of a, as you can see, it kind of just works. It's a really nice program. Really, I can't think of any other way I would want to work on audio at the moment. I mean, there are probably somewhat better audio editing programs out there that cost a lot of money, and really I can't see them adding anything that Audacity doesn't already provide. But yeah, big fan of the program, really advise that you use it. And if you really want to see why I think that this is the program to use, I advise that you tune in next week when I really show off some of the huge power this program has. So, those are the 3 programs that I recommend you use. Shadowplay, HitFilm, and Audacity. Of course, you can do something completely different. There are no rules to this, remember that. These are just the programs that I think are very good and will hopefully help you. So, I hope you join me for the next one, in which I'll show you some things that are far from necessary, but are even further from very useful. So, I hope I've been any help to anybody out there. Remember that should this inspire you or help you in any way with your Let's Play, send me a link to them because I will want to take a look. This has been Vanix.